Welcome to the Hashimoto's Doctor Podcast. You're now part of a growing community of people determined to take their health back through education and self-empowerment. But because of the healthcare system today, we don't have access to the types of healthcare that we want. So we have to do things differently. We've got to do things smarter, and we do that by becoming our own advocates. This podcast will give you the perspective and thoughts of one of the world's leading Hashimoto's doctors. So let's get started. Hey guys, Dr. Shook here. I hope you're doing well today. I am so excited to be with you as always, and I can't wait to share some more life-changing information with you that I really hope to improve your quality of life and just really help you to live the very best life possible. So today I want to talk to you guys about something that's really important. It's really the first place that I start. I've talked about it a little bit before, but I want to touch on this in a little bit more detail. And this is the topic of and the problem of inflammation. And inflammation is extremely important when you're trying to improve any endocrine imbalance. So we're talking about any hormonal issue, and really, systemic health. Your physiology at almost every major level is impacted by inflammation, because inflammation is really what we're talking about are inflammatory chemicals that are produced by your immune system called cytokines. Now, these cytokines are these chemical proteins that are really messengers. They're kind of like crosstalk messengers that help to influence and have a modulating effect on the nervous system, the immune system, and the endocrine system. So that's your neurological, your nervous system runs everything, your immune system, and your endocrine, your hormonal system. These cytokines can have influences at every major point in your physiology. So they affect so many different aspects that it's really just the best thing that I can really say, and the thing that I guess is the simplest, is that if you have high levels of inflammation, it is going to have a dramatic impact on your overall body chemistry, and you will have an extremely difficult time of improving any type of endocrine patterns. Okay, so whether it be thyroid related or adrenal gland related or sex hormones, where you're trying to get your estrogens, your progesterone, your testosterone, anything and everything is really impacted by this problem. So it's very important that we discuss it, because if this is why I tell people a lot of times, whenever I'm working with someone, we have to cast a very wide net. And that means we have to look at several things at one time. And that's so that we can try to determine if there are things that are driving an inflammatory response, an immune response. And I can't emphasize that enough, because so many times I'll see workups that are done. I'll discuss with clients what they've done in the past. And, even though, changing diet is a really important thing, and we always have to change diet or make dietary modifications to improve someone with a chronic health problem. It's always required. I don't know of a single case that we haven't had to do that. So that's good, but that's almost never enough. And actually, whenever we do testing and we start digging and we really start critically analyzing what's happening, what is happening that is unique to that person that's driving inflammation, we find out pretty quickly that there are very unique drivers of inflammation for that person. So, for example, one thing that's very common are food sensitivities, and a lot of times people will go on, they'll make dietary modifications, and they'll say, well, I think I've got the food sensitivities figured out because I just changed my diet and I feel better. And that's, what, you can do really well that way without getting testing. But there hasn't been a single time that we've done testing that we haven't found other food sensitivities when someone had been sensitive to them in the past, or had sensitivities to food in the past. Now, we have done food sensitivities where there are no positive findings, like none at all. And that's fantastic. That's really what we want to find. But if someone has had reactions to food and they know it, and then they've changed their diet and they say, I'm doing a lot better, I'm not really having food sensitivities or food reactions. Whenever we do testing, so most of the time if I work with people, I require them to get food sensitivities. It's just one of those things that is such a common issue, especially with autoimmunity, especially if there's any type of inflammation, that it is not worth skipping it. It is investigate it, do your best to determine if they're present, if they're there. If you find them, remove the specific foods that you're reacting to. And, don't leave it to chance. Why go through all this effort and, spend money to investigate what's going on with your health to leave out food sensitivities. It's not a good strategy. Let me just say that. So, the things that we have to do is we have to investigate what's driving the inflammatory process. So very commonly, food sensitivities, pathogens are common where you have bacterial, viral, fungal, or parasitic infections, and then environmental chemical reactivity is also very, very common. And this is a huge problem that is very difficult to test for. And if you have, basically everyone is exposed to environmental chemicals. Whether or not you've lost chemical tolerance is another issue, that you may not have lost chemical tolerance, meaning you could have chemicals in your body and you may not be currently having an immune response to them. That's fantastic. However, those chemicals still create problems with endocrine function, neurological function. They may just not be contributing to immune response, right? I mean, you might not be having an immune response to them, but they still have numerous other physiological effects on the body. So they disrupt your hormone sensitivity. They have, all these things are classified as endocrine disruptors. So they disrupt numerous steps in your physiology of all of your hormone physiology, whether it be thyroid hormone physiology or adrenal gland physiology or sex hormone physiology, where you're talking about, the ovaries, the testes, the adrenal axes, whether it's the central structures in the brain, the hypothalamus that coordinates your endocrine system. These chemicals affect it. So what you have to do is you have to be very, very diligent in your workup, and you just have to do a thorough investigation so that you can better understand what is driving the inflammatory response, what is creating a problem, and then you have to go through a process of removing and then repairing the damage that has been done. And then you have to actively, continuously work on keeping your body healthy. And it's one of those things that, what's the degree that someone can recover to? Well, it's going to be unique to you and what's going on with your body and, your genetic abilities to detoxify. There are a ton of different factors. That's why we can't just have extremely general recommendations that works for everyone. And it's because we all have this, genetic uniqueness, and we all have different factors that have influenced the decline in our health and that drive our inflammatory processes. So I just wanted to talk more about inflammation, because really at the core of everything that we do, we have to assess and we have to determine the degree of inflammation, if inflammation is present, and it very, very commonly is. And we have to work to actively remove those things that are driving the inflammation if we're going to have neurological health, hormonal health, and immune system health, systemic health in general. I mean, inflammation is implicated in almost every chronic and degenerative disease process. So anything that's like a long-term considered a long-term degenerative disease, whether it be autoimmunity or Hashimoto's or Graves' disease or diabetes or dementia or Alzheimer's or cancers, these issues, inflammation is something that is underlying a lot of these processes and promoting these degenerative processes. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to bring that to your attention, because it's super important that when you start working on your health and you're trying to improve your thyroid function, so many people have issues where they take medications and they just don't feel better, or they take them and it helps them a little bit, but they're not really truly better. And the fact is that if you feel better on a medication, fantastic. Then now you have even a better opportunity and better mental capacity to get to work investigating the root driver of the process. Because the reality is that the medications are just, a crutch that you're using to help you feel better, but it's not identifying the root driver of the process. And that's fantastic. If you've got something that can help you, so let's say thyroid hormone medication or thyroid hormone replacement, that's fantastic. But you still have to investigate the root driver of the process. Why is this occurring? Or you're setting yourself up for a lot more problems in the future. Right? So, and it may be that you need to be on those medications long term, and that's quite all right. I mean, if there's one medication, if I was going to have to be on one long term, thyroid hormone replacement, I would be fine with that, quite frankly. I mean, it's inconvenient, yes, to take medications, but you cannot be hypothyroid, guys. You cannot have low thyroid hormone physiological stimulation of your body, or every single cell in your body, including your brain, will decline. It will create problems, and they will decline. You cannot afford to have that occur, okay? So I just wanted to share this with you guys today about inflammation and really touch on that again with you because it's so important. And I don't want you to lose sight of inflammation being priority number one. And really, it's inflammation and autoimmunity have to be at the very top of the list. We have to address those things. We have to determine what's promoting them. And that's where, when I'm working with people one-on-one, I work with, maybe 2 people per month one-on-one. We do, anyone that I work with, you're going to get extensive testing, or I'm not going to be able to, accept your case. And that's okay. It's not anything that's it's not a personal thing. It's just that, I only have so much time to work with people, and we work with large groups of people that are going through our programs. We work with groups of about 30. And I can't take on, hundreds of cases that I'm actively managing. There's no time at all to do that. So I want to be able to, spend time with my family and enjoy them too. And I want to help the people that I work with to reach the maximal health possible. And the way that we do that is, when I work with people one-on-one, that's obviously, I have very little time to do that. What we do is we dig. We get very in-depth testing, and we dig. And we investigate and do the things that we need to do to try and get you as healthy as possible. And the people that we work with in groups, we do offer a lot of times like a group-based type of test, and we work with them and do question and answer, and we have different types of support groups where I get in there and I help to guide these people closely. But the main thing is that you have to do some investigation, guys. I just can't tell you. I mean, there are people that change their diet and it's like, a miracle occurred. And that's fantastic. And I'm super excited. We have to have more of that, actually. We need more of those types of, self-help success stories occurring, because there are so many people that are struggling with these problems that there is no way that we are going to be able to handle the wave of disease and sickness with autoimmunity, cancers, diabetes, heart disease, all these things, the neurodegenerative conditions, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, that's coming. We are not educating people if people are not educating themselves to take their health back and become their own advocate. And that's really, what I'm trying to do with you guys is help you to understand some of the complexities and give you tools to help yourself. And it's really important. It's really important to me. It's one of my missions that when my time's said and done and everything, my life is over, or I'm no longer able to do these things, whatever it might be, that I've left information for people to take and use that has the capacity to really have a profound positive impact on the world. That's really an ultimate goal of mine. But with you guys, what I want you to do is, in the immediate and short term, I want to change one person's life at a time so that we can impact their family positively, their community, and the world. And I want to empower you to become your own advocate so that you can take your health back. You can be an active participant in your healthcare, and ultimately you can be a better participant and better partner with your healthcare provider. Because there's such a divide that has been driven in this, especially in this alternative medicine, functional medicine world. I read all these cases where people are just mad at their doctors. And I get it that you're not getting better. But I promise you one thing. No one got into healthcare thinking, hey, I want to get into this and have an adversarial relationship. No, they all got into healthcare to try to help you. Now, I have to believe that. I know that that's the case. That they got into healthcare to try and help people and to improve the lives of the people in their communities, their family. A lot of people that get into healthcare, a lot like me, they have personal experiences that led them there. Your doctors are not bad people, guys, but they're working in a system that is not functional medicine. It is not what we're talking about here. And they are not, you might have more experience and knowledge on how to approach this from a natural and dietary and temporary supplemental approach than they do. And that's all right, because they're very good. They're experts at many, many other things that we need them to, right? And we need to be a team. So let's stop driving a wedge and let's start trying to help one another. And I'm not making excuses for poor bedside manner. I'm not saying that's appropriate. Look, let's work together in a very positive way. Okay, guys? So anyway, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and listening to my rambling. Inflammation is an important one. So guys, if you've enjoyed our podcast, please go and review the podcast. Share it with your friends. I really appreciate you guys being here so much. I'm going to keep teaching. You guys keep learning, and let's change the world one person at a time, okay? All right, talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed hanging out behind the scenes with Dr. Shook. You can also talk with and learn from Dr. Shook through Facebook Live on our Facebook page at the Office of Dr. Brad Shook. Don't forget, you can also get access to our videos, guidebooks, and thyroid programs at www.drbradshook.com. Oh yeah, and don't forget one more thing. We can change the world one person, one family, and one community at a time. Until next time, remember, today is your day, and no one will tell you who you are and what you can be.